going to talk about how we can create a Maven build job along with the email notification. So for now, we have this Jenkins available here, the latest Jenkins which we have installed onto a Linux virtual machine. Now we have to create a build job, because in the build job only we are going to put what are the different kind of tasks we wanted to really achieve, we wanted to perform. Also, we have got a particular dummy project, which is not an actual project, but again, it's having the application source code. The Java source code is present there. We also have the Maven build tool, which is integrated in this project. And we are going to use this repository all along over here in order to perform the build automation. So the source code will be checked out from this repository, will be built out, and ultimately we will be able to get our end result or the end requirement. So I'm going to create a new job over here in Jenkins. So for this one, what you really need to do is that you need to go to the new item. Now in this one, you're going to provide like what exactly is the task or the reason behind the job. Most of the times we really put the information about the project, so that from the job itself we will be able to know by seeing it that okay, this is something which we are trying to implement, or this Jenkins job we are trying to set up over here in such a way that we can get along, or we are trying to get the different flexibilities and different options. So here I'm going to say, let's say I'm going to put Maven build here, that yes, I wanted to go or create a Maven build job. You can give any name over here and then select the freestyle. So once you selected the freestyle Jenkins job or the type of freestyle project, we will be able to get a Jenkins job which will be having which will be in freestyle in nature. And what will happen that a new Jenkins job will be created, and then we can start doing the configuration. So far we have not done any kind of configurations or changes over here. We have just put up the things in the in the way like what exact Jenkins job we are trying to create, and then we are going to say okay. The moment you do that, what will happen that it will be creating up a new Jenkins job. It will give you all the different options, that what are the different settings and configurations you really wanted to implement. You can do that settings over here, but we are just going to be limited there to the particular options or the configurations which we feel like we are going to do it for the build automations. So what we're going to do is that we are going to first select that what is the source code management here. We have already got a repository, so I'm just going to copy the repo link here. You can have any random Maven source code also available there, even if you're not going for the build around automation around this Maven or these Java source codes. You can use any other programming language or codes also in that case. So we have the different options, different possibilities which is available there, using which we will be able to see like how these configurations are going to be done and how we can perform these different kind of or different level of changes as such. So this is the repo. So I'm going to go to the Jenkins job and go to the source code management here. So in this one, we will be having none, like okay, if we don't want to invoke any source code management tool, or if you want to invoke Git, so you can select that. So within that, you're going to put the repository URL, that this is the repo URL which we have got here. Now we have to really provide the credentials, because this is just in public repository, so it works great. But usually when we wanted to work in actual projects, so we are not going to work on the public repos, we are actually going to work on the private repos. So private repos is very important, and that's what we need to do here. So in order to perform that, what we are going to do is that we are going to add the credentials. If you already have in credentials, that's great. You can see like I have a GitHub credits which is already being available there. If you're using it for the first time, then you can just click on add button and Jenkins, and here itself you can put the username, like whatever the username is there. So my username is Anuj DevOps Learn. That's kind of my username, GitHub username is there, but you can put the password also, that what meaningful password you really wanted to provide here, and then ultimately a basic ID and description. So once this is done, what will happen that we will be able to have a credentials created. Like this will really help me to have a credential created so that we can get along and we can get started with the overall functionality, overall setup here. So that's the one thing which we are trying to ensure, we are trying to implement it up here, right? So but yes, for me, once the credentials is already added up, so you don't have to worry about that. Similarly here also, in this case, I already have this credentials available. So what I can do is that I can just select whatever the existing credentials are there. So I can select that, okay, these are the credentials, so I can go for that. If you give a meaningful ID and description, it becomes easy for you, because again you can allocate the credentials, that what is the purpose of these credentials. You can configure that, and then you can specify that which branch we wanted to check out the code base here, if it's a master or any other branch. So you can select accordingly. So if it's a master branch, that's great. If it's some other branch, you can use or follow that also. So master is the branch which we wanted to use, we wanted to refer here, and we really wanted to establish the connectivity, and we wanted to perform the changes. So master is the branch which is available. You can have any other branch also configured there. So it depends like how the things are really going to be done, and we can perform the configurations and the changes all together, right? So master is the branch which is available, and we are really trying to do the configurations around that. Now once the version control system code basis is configured, we will be like, if you have any kind of triggers you can invoke, you can go for that. But right now we will be manually invoking it, so we don't need the build triggers. If you want to perform a cleanup of the workspace before the build start, you can select the options. If you want to go for a timestamp in the console output, that also you can select. Some supplementary options are coming up here, which gives you a kind of add-on, like whatever the existing process or implementations you are implementing or setting up. So depending on that, this is something which is going to give you the detailed output as such here in this case. So whatever the executions, whatever the setups you feel like you want to do, so corresponding to that, all those changes or all those benefits, you will be able to get over here in this build environment. And then of course you will be going to the build and post build actions, because if we talk about the build process, we already have a Maven build step which is available, invoke top level Maven target. So when we are going to select this one, so here we are going to select what is the goals there. Of course we wanted to have the goals clearly set up over here. So typically when you wanted to run a Maven build, so mvn clean install is the step, is a command for that. But again in this one we are just going to provide the goals only, we don't have to provide the command line. So I'm going to give the values as clean install, these are the goals which is available there. When we are going to put this clean go install here, so these goals will be invoked. mvn command line will automatically come up by the plugin, so we don't have to put that. If you put mvn clean install here, so it will simply fail, because mvn will come twice. And now since the build one is done, so you will see like, okay, the build will be done, the build process will be executed, and will definitely go through that. Now as far as the email, because this is just one piece in which the build automation will happen, the test cases will happen. But if we talk about a true CI job, so it's not only about the build automation or test cases automations, but it's also about like how we can send the email notifications. These email notifications are very important, because ultimately using this, we are going to see like how the email notifications can be sent out, and we can send the email notifications to get the desired output. So that's the reason why we are going for the particular email notification. So we are going for this post build actions or post build step over here, so which will help you to send the email notifications, and you will be able to get the desired output here. So we go for the post build actions, and we have the options like email notification and the extended email notification. The problem with the email notification is that it's does not gives you the email notification in case of the stable build. It's only going to send the email notifications only in case of unstable builds, which means like some, it's not like always you're going to get the email notifications. Only in case of failure you will be getting the email notifications. So this is not a kind of setup we are looking forward, because even if it's a success, we wanted to record, we wanted to know like what is the feedback. So in that situations, definitely in all the scenarios we should be getting the particular like we should be getting all these different email alerts over here in this one. So that's the criteria which we wanted to follow, we wanted to implement here. Now in this one, what we're going to do is that we are going to say that, okay, let's go for the extended one, because extended one is having the capability to send the email notifications even if the build is successful or it's a kind of a stopped or it's shut down. So in both the cases we will be able to get the email notification. So that's something which is quite better and effective here. So I'm just going to delete this email notification and come to the editable email notification here. Now in this one, what we're going to do is that we are going to invoke like how exactly the emails notification should be sent. You can select the default the default list, the default recipients. If you want to add some different email IDs, right? So for example, any email ID, if you put like if it exists and represents the developers or a group of people, you can even have a DL which have more than one particular developer, so it's a group of developers. So even that also you can do. You can configure here, because ultimately we are just trying to see like how the modifications and the changes we can set up, and we can configure it up over here in this one. So we'll save it up, and now with once the Jenkins job is created, so what we can do is that we can go for the particular build, and it's like something where we will be able to see like how this build is really going on, and we will be able to get the overall executions done here. So that's what we are trying to do over here. So when you go for the build here, because of course once the job configuration is done, you have to invoke the build. So that's one thing. Now as you can see that the build is failed on because of the fact that we are having or using this as a Maven build, and it's not able to find out the Maven command line. So you have to first install the Maven command line, and then only it will work there, right? Now when you are configuring that one, when you're trying to perform these setups over here, so what is happening is that it's something which is going to help you to see like how the particular execution can be done, because we wanted to have a failure over here, because as you can see like it's something which try to send the email notification, because the failure trigger happened over here, and it's trying to send the email notifications there. Now when you go to the Jenkins job configurations, so if you talk about the email notification plugin, there are some particular tokens, or there are some particular triggers which is available. For example, it's saying failure any, like whom you wanted to send the email notifications. So you have the developers here, like if you have those values you can select that. If you feel like the person who have the requested person who have triggered the build, or the build user, if you wanted to go for that, or you want to go for the recipient list, because in the recipient list we definitely have put up some particular email notifications, right? The emails IDs there. So we don't want to send because earlier I was having the developers which is in dummy one, it's not having any particular values, right? So what I have done is like I have selected that the failure, yes, failure is there. Or even if not like that, if I don't want to go for trigger, so I want to go for always, like that because it makes more sense there. So I just cancel this failure any, because ultimately I don't want to only send the notifications in the case of failure all the time. I should be doing that. So you have the developers, you have the recipe list, you have the build user, so the person who is triggering the build, so they should also be notified. So you can select that whom to notify here. Of course the recipe list we have added up in the top. I have added my a dummy email ID over there so that I can send the email notifications. But the thing is that the trigger is not only case of the failure, because I showed you I did not install the Maven earlier because I wanted this Jenkins job to fail, so that I can show you that what is the default nature of this plugin here. So you have to override that default nature by configuring it up in such a way that we don't need the notification only in case of failure. We want the notifications all the time, always. And that's where you're putting up all these different configurations, right? So after this you have to definitely do the particular installation of Maven plugin, and you have to get along with that. Some of the additional configurations are also there. For example, if you want to send the build logs, you can compress and send it up into an archive file. If you feel like you want to send some attachments, you can do that also. What is the content type, HTML or plain text, so you can give that specifications. You have a complete control on how exactly you look or you feel like your email notifications should be sent out there. So that's the kind of confirmation we are trying to give over here in this one. So let's see, let's do the particular installation of plugin onto the server, onto the build server, and then we'll again invoke the Jenkins build here. So this is a server, so here we have to first run app update command. The reason behind that is that so that the updates, the packages updates can be applied. Second thing, we need to go for apt install Maven, because with this one what we are going to do is that we wanted to install the Maven executable. So that's another component which you're trying to manage, that yes, Maven installation is what we are trying to do. We are trying to manage it up over here. When you do this, when you are done with this one, so what happens is the Maven installation will be done. The Maven build tool will be performed over here, and we will be able to invoke it, because earlier it was failing because of that the Maven command was not found, and now we have installed that Maven command line here. So now what I'm going to do is that we are going to come up with the fact that we wanted to establish the connectivity here. So let's invoke the build again, see like what it's going to happen this time. So this time what will happen, that of course it's going to trigger the Maven, because the Maven is installation is done there. So it's going to download the plugins and different jar files. The dependencies are getting downloaded. So I will trigger another build to make sure, because once these dependencies are being cached, so next time it does not get downloaded from fresh. So I'm going to wait for this one to complete, and then I'm going to invoke and another build, so that I can show you or explain you the output in a very streamlined and a proper manner. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to perform here. So here the output is coming up. So we have cancelled out the second build number. So we are running up another build here to see like how the progress is going on. Now in this one, the output may not be visible. So let me trigger a build again. So because this once this particular Maven jar files or dependencies is being downloaded, then it easily gets cached up. So I'm going to use it. Now if we talk about mvn clean install, so we are running the particular build here, and as you can see here that it's going for the cleanup, it's running compilation, it's doing the test compile, it's running the test cases. If there is any kind of failure in the test cases, the whole Jenkins job will fail. If there is any kind of issue with the compilation, then only it will fail. Also we will be able to see like the packaging, we will be able to have the war file which is being prepared here, and ultimately once the build is successful, we are getting the email notification. Now it also mentions that what is the trigger. So the trigger is always, so that's why it's going to build it up there. So the email, the recipients, the default recipient list which I configure into my Jenkins job, so it's going to send it to that also. And on top of that, the requester. How? Because this abc@abc.com is the email ID which is being configured for my user here, the same user with which I'm running the Jenkins job here. Because if I just go to this user who exactly being used for triggering the build, so if I go to this one and go to the configure, I will see the same email ID configured. So whatever the email ID is configured into your user from which you're triggering the build, it's also going to be picked up over here, and the email notification will be sent out. You wanted to give, like, instead of an individual email IDs, you want to give some group email IDs. That also you can do, you can configure here. So pretty much this is the way that how exactly we can go for a Maven build automation. And plus on top of that, we can compress the logs, we can send the attachments, and we can send the email notifications to the group of people or an individual developer. So that's it for this demo. Thank you.